It's hot as a ball sack in this room today. It's thunderstorming outside, but I'll carry on regardless, just for you. What is this object of sorcery that you have on my screen? This bizarre, mystical voodoo object. Well, this video that you're watching right now is not really a tutorial, so feel free to move on if it's not going to be of any interest to you. But over the course of the video, I'm going to be telling you some things that might be of interest to you with regards to 3D printing and publishing yourself on the worldwide interwebs to get exposure to show the world how good you are at 3D stuff. So stay tuned for all that sort of stuff. Right, what this is, I've recently entered a competition which was, it's a collaboration between 3 different websites, and it's for, well, and I don't know if you can, actually you probably can't guess what this is just by looking at it. It's a wall-mounted headphone hanger is what it is. Now, people already sell wall-mounted headphone hangers. You can get them that stand on a desk as well that you just hang your headphones on. But the competition is on behalf of a company called Silverstone. That's these guys here. Now, they're a PC accessory company. They do things like cases, power supplies, fans, headphone hangers, that sort of stuff. They're quite a stylish company. The products are quite fashionable, you could say. So they do some really good looking stuff. And they're in the market to produce and sell a wall-mounted headphone hanger. And they thought it would be a great marketing technique to put their name out there if they collaborate with another couple of companies that are quite big in the online tech world. One of those being a YouTube channel called Linus Tech Tips. Linus Media Group, Linus Tech Tips. Linus Tech Tips are a huge tech-based YouTube channel. They've got a couple of million subscribers. It really is a good YouTube channel. Highly recommend that you go and check these guys out. They do unboxings, reviews, news broadcasts, like sort of news shows, when people sit together and talk for a couple of hours about what's going on in the world of tech, all that sort of stuff. And they're an amazing source of information. They're bang up to date on everything that's going on. It's how I keep myself up to date on tech stuff and learn about bits and pieces. So yeah, check those guys out. They're an acquired taste, to say the least. They have some questionable self-promotional techniques. Let's just put it that way. But if you can look past all that and not get too irate at the way they do business, then regardless, it's a very good channel. It's a good source of information. So Silverstone went to Linus Tech Tips and said, hey, we're going to do a competition. We want your viewers to design a wall-mounted headphone hanger on any 3D CAD package. The competition's actually over now. It's in the voting stage, but submissions have closed. But we want people to design a new headphone hanger and submit it as a STL file to this third website called My Mini Factory. So these guys are hosting all the competition entries. My Mini Factory is a 3D printing website. Basically, anybody can create an account and then design something in 3D, upload that model to this website, and they will guarantee whether or not it can be 3D printed. And then the general public can download your designs and 3D print them. And the idea being, you're getting exposed, you're putting your name out there, and the top notch, the top level of designers can then be seen by anybody that they hope to be seen by. It's exposure. It's what it is. So this is the website that's hosting all the designs. So obviously I've ended. I did my design, which is this one here. If you want to go and vote for my design, by all means, to vote for it, what you do is you go, I'll put the link in the description in this video, but you click the one that you want to vote for, and the method of voting is by downloading the file. So 1 download equals 1 vote. At the end of the day, I don't think whoever gets the most votes is going to win. It's going to be based on Linus Tech Tips. It's going to be their discretion, basically. They're going to look through all the entries and pick them, because there's some in there which are questionable, a bit bland, sticks poking out of a wall type thing, and some other people are going to be, they can get all their mates. They might have a pool of 2,000 mates on Faceache and get all them to download the files, and that's giving people a bit of an unfair advantage. So yeah, it's not going to be based on votes, but votes will help, I guess. But yeah, I mean, look at mine. That is nothing like what I actually submitted, which is that there. Is it really? It hasn't quite printed quite right. there's straggly bits of material sort of floating off it and hanging off. It looks like it's been put through a blender, but never mind, never mind. These are some of the images that I've uploaded that I did on Showcase. Obviously, that's the model there. I've put various different textures on it. So this one's like a carbon fiber effect with an aluminium edge. We've got black plastic outer edge with like a carbon fiber fill. Got like a leather texture on here as well. Various different textures and stuff which I experimented with. And that's my entry. So if you want to vote for me, by all means, feel free. Download my file. You'll actually get the 3D model that I did, which you can download and then open it up. It'll just be an STL file, unfortunately, so it won't have any modeling information in it, but you can still print it if you want, if you like it. I don't know. But if you want to have a browse through the other entries, by all means do that. It's quite an interesting competition. I'm looking forward to seeing it come to life once it goes on to the stage where people start, you know, being chosen in the top 10 and then whittled down to the winner. I'm quite looking forward to that bit. So yeah, there's a lot of pages though. The competition itself, I don't want to bamble on too much about the competition, but it's a bit questionable. Some of the designs people have uploaded, I've been onto the Linus Tech Tips forum area, and people are kicking off left, right, and centre because their designs just haven't printed correctly. Some people have uploaded a model and it's been printed a completely different scale, distorted in all axes. And some of them, the My Mini Factory website, you can tell it's just they're going through some growing pains. They weren't quite prepared for the amount of entries that they received, and they just haven't paid attention to what they've been doing. So some of the headphone hangers have been shown in the pictures upside down, back to front, mounted against the wall with the wrong piece. I found a cracking one the other just a couple hours ago. I can't remember. I'm not going to be able to find it quick enough, but it was just completely comical. But anyway, yeah, so that was the competition. And what I thought I'd do is just make you aware of the competition, make you aware of Linus Tech Tips, because it's just a very good website to know about, to subscribe to, just to keep yourself up to date on tech stuff if you're into that sort of thing. And also show you the 3D printing website, which is good for anybody in the world of 3D. It can only be a good thing to know about that. You might choose to just let it pass you by, fine. But it might interest some people. The next thing I want to do is just take you through how this was modeled, because hey, it's a tutorial website and you might be looking at it and going, that's actually nifty. I want to know how you did that. How did you do that? I want to know, because I'm thinking about doing something similar and I want to know how to start it and approach it. It took me in total around 2 to 3 weeks to do, but that was sort of dipping in and out of it, doing a bit after work, and I would say probably around 6 to 10 hours of modeling, but it went through loads of different iterations before I got to this point. When they announced the competition, I had like an image in my mind of what I wanted to do, but when I started to model it, it became apparent that wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to mount against a wall. Aesthetically, it wasn't very good. The headphones wouldn't hang on them very well, and then it just developed into what it is now, which means that the model itself isn't modeled to best practice, but that's kind of how things go, you know. Do as I say, not as I do, as every teacher would say. But yeah, the show, and also when I was doing it in Inventor, obviously this is the Inventor model here. That's it. It wasn't modeled with the intention of looking sexual in Inventor. I knew that I was just going to have the bare bones, port that into Showcase, and then put all the textures and images and stuff on in Showcase. So yeah, that's kind of where I came from. So this is the Showcase model. It's looking pretty good, actually. It's mounted to a wall using like sort of keyway slots. Screws go in there, slide up, and it grips to the wall. The textures look pretty awesome. So I didn't create any alternatives, but I've managed to settle on this one as my favorite. But yeah, as you saw in the pictures on the competition website, some of them that I've submitted had like an aluminium effect, and then this one here has got like a leather texture, which you kind of see very well in this image. They've scaled down all the images on their website. I think I might, if I can go to my desktop. Yeah, like this one here. So there's the original. Can we zoom in on that? It's still bloody pixelated. But yeah, that's it's like a leather texture. Anyway, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I'm sure you want to know how I did it. So yeah, that's the model. And like I said, the design intent just kind of evolved just so it looked good. Obviously, the design itself is based on the Silverstone logo. That's where the original design intent came from. So the Silverstone logo is this sort of hexagon here with the arrows coming out from all corner points of the hexagon. And I wanted to base the design on that. Originally, I had the bottom arrow for... Oh, I've still got the model, actually. Let's go to version 2. So originally it was this, with the arrow sort of bending up like that. But then, if you were to hang headphones on that, they'd sort of slide down there, and they probably wouldn't sit right on the edges of the arrow there, because a headphone band is curved, and it's just not gonna. The headphones will probably bend that way towards the wall, and I didn't like it. And looking straight on, it looks a bit strange. So that was canned, and then I ended up with this. So, right. So the key design features to this, obviously, it's based on the Silverstone logo, but there's a couple of tricky modeling aspects that I've put into this. Now, if we look side on, it's kind of very curved. If you look at the top arrow here, this is sort of bending out from the wall mounted base bit here. It sort of bends out and then it bends back in, and that's quite tricky to do. It's quite tricky to do. These arrows as well, these sort of come out and bend back on themselves as well. There's a lot of fillets going on in there. This surface here was quite tricky to get, sort of blending it out, making sure it's a perfect blend out from the center section. That was quite tricky to accomplish. Getting the fillets actually was one of the most difficult parts of it. We've got fillets on pretty much every edge. There has to be, because it's a consumer product. You can't leave any sharp edges on it. But the tricky nature of all the surfaces meant that there was a lot of fillet issues, which required a few delete faces here, delete faces there, and all kinds of stuff. But got there in the end. So let's look at how I did this. So if we scroll down to the end part, drag this all the way up to the top. I started with a freeform solid. So the freeform solid is, well, the freeform tools were new in 2015 and developed a bit further in 2016. And this particular freeform solid started with a plane. So I didn't have any sizes to go off. I started modeling it thinking, well, that's about the size of a headphone. I didn't put any dimensions in it. And then once I'd finished it, I actually completely finished it, and then realized there's a 3D printing size limitation of 18 by 18 by 18 centimeters. And I was like, oh shit, it's too big. So I just globally scale it. I had to derive it and scale it down. But anyway. So yeah, it's not modeled to scale, really, to any sizes. But so I drew a plane, and then I used edit form just to push pull it. So it was a case of edit form, pick, an edge, and then just start pulling the arrows and tweaking it and punching it and prodding it and poking it till I got somewhere kind of where in my mind I thought that's where I want to be. So if you look at this back face here, there, and then that curve there, that's the profile that this arrow takes here. So that there, that back face follows that face there. So yeah, I kind of built a base freeform solid in order to then, it's like a foundation to build the rest of it off. So when I finished the freeform, I ended up with that. Then what I did, sketched in no particular distance away from the freeform, I sketched one of the first arrowheads for the Silverstone logo, and I had to do a separate extrusion down here so that I could then pattern that arrowhead around the base, around the center section. Then create a sketch on here, project through the outline of the extrusion, and then this is where the tricky bit comes in. I did an extrusion from the sketch that I did on here. So the sketch which was extruded is this one here, cut off around about here. So I'm only extruding the top end, I'm excluding the bottom arrow. So I've extruded it from here through till it hits the freeform solid, and it's an intersect extrusion, which I've suppressed. So let's just move it down, which leaves us with that, and that's the foundation for the entire headphone design. So if we just edit this, it's the intersect extrusion. So that basically means wherever the extruded sketch hits another solid, it's gonna, that clash, that joint of material is what you're gonna end up with. So that's kind of how that did. And I think I put a taper on it as well. Yeah, just a 1 degree taper. And that was it was just trial and error. I experimented with different degrees, but I just wanted it to have a little bit of an edge to it, just a little bit of a shape deformity. So I put a gradual 1 degree taper on the extrusion. I don't know really how much it impacted the final design having that taper, but I left it on. So then we did some fillets. Like I said, the fillets are normally done at the end, but at this point I was just kind of experimenting. When I was actually at this point, I didn't know where I was going with it. So the fillets were just put on here just because I was like, oh, kind of don't know where to go. I was put some fillets on. That kind of looks like what I think it should look like. But yeah, the fillets should have been probably put on a bit later, but never mind. The emboss here, this is the back section. Oh, if we just suppress that again, actually. The reason why I've put an emboss on the back is because it's rounded. We've got, that's obviously where the freeform solid was, and it's a rounded back section, which if you press against a wall, it's just going to sort of like a ball joint against the wall. It isn't going to sit flat against a wall. So I've had to do an emboss here, which joins against the curved surface, and that's where the keyway sockets were eventually put in. So we've got various work planes and sketches, just construction geometry until we get down to extrusion 18, which is the bottom arrow, which was done separately because I needed to leave room here for the actual hanger. That's where the hanger is. And the hanger itself was done by creating a sketch and then projecting through this edge here and then revolving that edge around this work axis. So if we just enable that surface, I did it as a surface. So sketched that, well, not sketched, but projected that edge and then revolved it around an axis, which leaves you with a revolved surface, which was then thickened by about 10 mil, and that created the hanger. So that also meant that there was a pretty good transition between that center face and the start of the actual hanger itself. Doing it any other way was just really difficult. You know, if I was to draw a straight line between that point and then that point there, and then try and fill it between that face and that face, the results were just rubbish. So I ended up just doing a surface and then thickening it. Right, there's a couple of delete faces here. That's just to help with the fillets, because the fillets were just giving me a massive hard time. Ridiculous amount of fillets. I don't know why I've done that many. There was probably a reason for it. But then we come down here to the eye feature, which is the back face. I think it's going to take a couple of seconds to compute all these fillets. Alright, so that's computed. Let's turn around. So there's one of the keyways. That was placed using an eye feature. So if you go to the Manage tab and then insert, drop down this, you can go to keyhole and keyway. So I used one of those, dropped it in, just sized it up. Again, it's not done to any sort of proper bolt sizes or screw sizes. It was just so it looked right. That was then mirrored over to there. And then a couple of slots put in, a couple of extrusions so that you can, you know, when the screw goes in there, it can then slide up and the base can grip against the wall. And then a couple more fillets. What else we got here? And now, yeah, and then finally, one of the last things I did. Originally, these little things poking out here, which are these little stalks here, they were originally just there for aesthetics. I just thought it looked a bit bland without them. So I'll put them in, kind of like a Chinese thing, you know, and sort of sticks that go through the back of Chinese hair bobs. I thought I'll put them in. Sort of looks a bit quirky. But then after I did that, I thought, well, actually no, it's got quite a good productive purpose. You could use that for cable management. So if you're hanging your headphones on here, so the headphone band is around there, the headphone's just going to drip down here, and the cable's just going to flop down to the floor. But I thought you could just move the cables up and then wrap the cables around either the stalks or the arrows. So it's going to look a bit messy, but you know, there's something there to wrap the cables around. So I left those in. So they were done. It's just a simple circle extruded outwards. That's then patterned, and then the bottom two patterns, which would be that one there and then that one there, they're suppressed. And then we've got a thicken. What have I thickened? I don't know. Oh, right, yeah. So there's a bit of the design that I left out, and that was just because of the limitations of 3D printing. If this was not done with a 3D printer, what I would have probably been inclined to do was have like a padded cushion on here. So if you think about, you know, those big over the ear headphones, the band has got like a padded cushion on the bottom of it so it doesn't scrape your head. Well, that cushion, if it's rubbing against metal, it's just going to fray, isn't it? It's going to rip into the cushion. So I'd put like a leather padded region on here, and that was just done by thickening that face. But you kind of represent that in a 3D print. 3D printer can't print leather, So it's not going to happen. 3D printers printing a cow. So I ended up leaving that off the final design anyway. Right, a couple more fillets, a couple more bits and pieces, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah, the last couple of bits and pieces was just extending these up and then putting some fillets sort of around the edges, and that's pretty much it. That's how it was done. That was then saved and then ported over into Showcase, and inside Showcase, everything's just standard textures and materials. So, can I enable my material library? Material library, yeah, there's loads of them in here. So we've got like the carbon fiber effect, we've got the images. I started by putting the images in Inventor and then quickly realized that it didn't port the images out of Inventor into Showcase, so I had to do them all again. But yeah, we've got like leather, so if we click that and put the leather effect on, that's kind of what it looked like with the leather. And sort of this back face here was silver and matte. So yeah, I had various different effects going on. Different textures, different backgrounds, different shadows, different lighting. Just play around with it, then push the images out, save them, put them on the website, and then that's where we are today. So that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys. That's how I did this wall-mounted headphone hanger. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you learned nothing from it. Maybe you didn't realise that you could do freeform and do an intersect extrusion to create this sort of bizarre sort of joint sort of thing there, which is how I created the base mount. Yeah, there's the freeform there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So there's not really a massive amount of information in this one, but I don't know, some people like to just put videos on and listen to them in the background. That's what I do for quite a few videos. Just put them on in the background and crack on doing something else. So maybe I'm that guy now. I don't know. Put a comment down below if you just listen to me ramble on. If you do listen to me ramble on, I do apologise. I really do, because I don't say much interesting, I don't think. But that's it. And yeah, don't forget to go over to the website, Mind Manufacturing, and cast a vote. If you do want to vote, create an account, upload your own stuff onto that website if you want to. Throw Linus Tech Tips a subscribe, give them a shout, and just be aware of Silverstone as well, because they are I think they're an emerging company as well. I'm not sure how long they've been around for, but they do seem to be coming out with some really good stuff at the moment. And I don't recall hearing of them all that long ago. So, but yeah, just be aware of those guys as well. So, thank you very much. See ya.